Hello, everyone. My name's Lisa, and I've got a school trash story to tell, and a little bit of shame. Well, at least everyone tried to convince me it was shameful. And as for me, I still think it was cool, even if it was pretty painful. And I don't give up my hope of getting back at Alex for his jokes. He must learn for himself how it is to hang over the abyss with the risk of falling down under the shouts and whistles of classmates. Well, I didn't like the laughter of the rescuers either. I'll get back at Alex for that, too. Okay, generally, we're very gifted guys, though a little crazy. Even the experienced and hard teachers are afraid of us. We constantly argue with them, make jokes on them, and on each other. However, we don't cruelly mock teachers or other kids. We're enough with our own. Of course, our trend was to double dare each other, and what crazy things we did. We jumped out of the window, climbed the fire escape to the roof, blew up the school toilets with a firecracker. Hell, it was so cool. But later, our parents paid money for that, and we got in so much trouble. Me and Alex, my best friend and my classmate, were the coolest and the realest ringleaders, though they usually say girls don't do such things. I didn't care. I loved adrenaline. I loved to laugh like crazy, even if someone played a joke on me. Anyway, I hated being boring. Alex was also a people's nerves playing fan, but I admit his head worked much better than mine. He would always come up with a cool prank from scratch, and he was so creative. His ideas were always brilliant. He shot pranks on the phone and uploaded them to TikTok, and he always gained a lot of views, likes, and comments. For example, he pretended to be a banana in a banana suit, and if anyone swore or asked him something, he would start dancing. Or he would walk on his hands in the street claiming his legs are failing. One man even took it so seriously that he called an ambulance for Alex. Well, Alex's channel on TikTok definitely at the top. Anyway, all our pranks were stupid, dangerous, traumatic, but never boring. I even envied his ability to generate some cool ideas on the spot. I've never done it that way, except a couple of times I was particularly angry at him and I wanted to teach him a lesson. In this case, my prank genius worked perfectly. And sometimes Alex didn't even have to do anything. People were exposed to the pranks themselves, just like I did back then. It all started with the fact I bought super cool, fashionable, and the most durable underpants in a sports store. And I thought it was a great way to show off to my friends. No, I don't undress in public or something. I never had such a habit before. These underpants were actually part of a climbing suit's equipment. My hobby was climbing. I did it in my spare time. My mom even called me an adrenaline junkie. Strictly speaking, this was not real underwear. It was more like shorts with support, tightness, and airflow. They were supposed to hold my body at the most critical moment. So, while I was advertising these super underpants in class, some demons whispered to Alex there was a great chance to make up another cool bet to entertain everyone. Well, what could I do? It was my fault. I was setting myself up, just looking happy. I was kind of begging everyone to do something nasty to me, and then we started discussing the prank. Of course, I refused. But then Alex said, "Are you a chicken?" Bok, 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 bok. In the middle of the class, me and Alex somehow went out and ran to the stairs. We wanted to see my new climbing underpants in action. For some reason, we couldn't think of anything better than hanging me in them on the stairwell. It's good that we decided to test them not on my naked skin, but on my jeans. Actually, our school has very high ceilings. The building is old, so compared to modern buildings, the first floor is somewhere on the level of the third floor, and the stairs have a wide opening between the floors. They were so wide that our bags flew with such a whoosh when we threw them. However, we didn't know whether a person would pass there. Somehow, it had never occurred to us to throw people there before. Anyway, Alex fixed his phone higher to shoot what was going on. Then he stretched a rope through one of the leg holes in my underpants. He had stolen that rope from the school gym. So he wrapped the same rope around the railing and made it tight. And then he took me and pushed me down right into the flight. Let me remind you, it was really high. So I was literally hanging over the abyss. The rope was just long enough to hang me between the floors. And anyway, our bet was kind of finished with this one. The underpants held me. I was hanging there laughing. Alex was shooting it on the phone. He held the rope on top with his hand. Then he dragged me upstairs. And here we got the first disappointment. Of course, I'm a small girl. Honestly, I'm like 100 pounds. Alex was also the same weight. Well, you got it, right? he couldn't just lift me up. At least the railing held the rope tight. I was okay with this one. And then the bell rang, and all the students who left classes came running to see me hanging. Panic ensued. Little kids even started crying. They were afraid I would fall and turn into a bloody porridge. Seems like, hey, if you don't want to see me falling, well, help me and pull me out. Why are you crying? But here was another problem, and it was much more serious. They started pulling me out, but they pulled the rope abruptly. I don't know who was such a smartass ruling all the rescuers. And for some reason, they didn't take into account that my body was swinging on the rope, and I was rotating, and I was just rolling over in the abyss. I mean, they could have pulled me harder, but then, most likely, I would have lost a leg or even my head, and I couldn't turn over in the right way. With all these rotations, my hands were also blocked by my jacket. Anyway, I was hanging in the stairwell. I looked down, and only then it dawned on me that the floor was somehow far away from my feet. All I had was a rope and climbing shorts. Oh my God! And I started guessing which one of them would let me down first. For some reason, I suddenly wanted to live. Only at this moment I finally realized this thing was totally unsafe, and it could all end up in a very bad way. Sometimes luck can turn its back on you. I yelled at those idiots to call for the rescuers. I didn't want to die in such a stupid way, and I didn't want my stupid classmates to help me because they put me in such a stupid situation. But Alex just laughed and continued to shoot everything on his phone. The teacher started simultaneously lecturing me instead of calling for help. Oh, what a great idea. Lecture me while I'm hanging by my underpants. Thank you. Apparently, they thought, at least in this position, I would definitely not be able to ignore all their pedagogical fervor. I spent 2 hours hanging by my underpants in the stairwell. 2 hours! All I could do was pray that my shorts wouldn't fail and rip at a critical moment. My underpants held me, unlike my legs. They were so cramped I couldn't walk for a couple of hours, and the rescuers pulled me out. Finally, someone called the rescuers. They arrived, but Alex continued to shoot me while they used a large fire ladder and a smart trampoline. One of the rescuers just climbed up to me and cut the rope. Others caught me. It was fun. I jumped right on the trampoline and jumped back several times. Everyone even envied me later. Well, my underpants didn't let me down. And then these disgusting educational conversations started. At first, the rescuers. They said that it was very irresponsible. It was dangerous to be so indifferent to your life. And then many other boring things, as if I hadn't already figured it out by myself. Then the teachers took over, as if they hadn't had enough while I was hanging up there. Idiots. Well, finally, the teachers called my parents to school, and they clearly showed them where and how I was hanging there. My parents were so impressed, they took away these underpants, and all the money they paid for the climbing club for 6 months. Then I couldn't stand it any longer. I crawled away from there on my weak legs, and I watched Alex doing something. And of course, he chose a very stupid angle where I looked fat and ridiculous. That's it. A fatality to my reputation. Anyway, me and my friend got into a real big story. We were one of those kids teachers would later talk about for another 20 years and pass the story to future generations. Kinda a school legend or something. They even wanted to expel us from school. First, me for being so stupid with my leap of faith, and then Alex for his provocation, idea, and camera work. But for some reason, they didn't. I suspect all this cost our parents a lot of money. But somehow, I could cope with this. It was much worse for me that our brilliant idea was considered funny by many other guys. It was funny for them. Yeah, today people have such humor. It is kind of funny to see a girl hanging in the stairwell. And no matter that, I would fall down and die. In fact, I even wanted to lynch a couple of too active comedians. Somehow, my heroic act suddenly became a comedy. They all started laughing at me. And Alex was giggling too. So it turned out that I had stupid teachers on one side talking about me being an idiot, and some guys on the other side laughing because I hanged myself by my underpants. And it was all Alex's fault. It was his stupid idea. Now, I carefully ignore everyone, pretending to be mortally offended. Meanwhile, I secretly came up with a genius revenge plan on Alex. I want to get Alex to do something that will make him the new school hero. I believe I'll succeed. Write in the comments what you think of my story. Like it, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. There are a lot of interesting stories waiting for you.